parameters, or how do you look at team building in a remote setup so that it's built for success, right? So at Wishup, we have like 50 plus parameters on which we evaluate people, but would love to, pick your brains on it. How do you figure out what kind of people are suitable for remote work and would succeed in remote work?
So we've done a little bit of psychometric testing, and there's a really great book by Erin Meyer. I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head, but I'm going to actually Google it right now for everybody. It is Culture Map. So Erin Meyer wrote this great book called Culture Map, which allows you to be able to identify how different cultures interact with each other as it applies to work. And it's a really interesting book to be able to get deeper insights from those types of things. But what we've identified is there are fundamentally a few psychometric triggers that will define success for remote work. And then there's some larger scale ones. The biggest one is introversion. So if you are introverted, you actually become a lot more successful in terms of remote work. And our definition of success is you don't quit your job. You're successful in that position, you work well. There is a product manager that works about 3 blocks from me, and I meet him once every 6 months. And he doesn't even show up to my house, even though I try to bother him all the time. But he actually told me once that I was quite annoying and distracting towards his focus. So he said, hey, you know what, let's try to meet as little as humanly possible, which hurt my feelings, but I totally understood. So
but that makes so much sense.
Yes. So introversion, and then also defending your time. So we also have this other aspect, which is a company value. We call it self-guided missile. So someone that is able to not just identify what the target is, but how to get there. So usually management defines the target, but then it's the employee's job to be able to get to that particular target. Because when you have employees in 44 different countries all over the world, it's very, very difficult to be able to actually guide people towards the target. We need self-starters that are really interested in doing it on their own. And we've found that, for us at least, when you look at the general population, probably about 20-ish% of the population are self-guided missiles, and the other 80% really want it all laid out for you. And I really think it's kind of just boils down to 2 different categories. Either you have an organization where everything is process-based, so you have that type of person, that every single thing needs to be built into a process, and that's 80% of the population. So you can't have an organization that doesn't have a component of those types of people inside of your company. You need to build processes. They're at the core of everything that a successful remote company does. But then there's 20% of the population that doesn't need that says, hey, I'm good. I actually want to be the person that builds the process. I want to be able to go out and figure out these new aspects of how to generate more revenue inside of the business or innovate in some particular direction. So I don't need to be shown how to get there. I'll get there on my own. Those are the 2 psychometric variables. And then the 3 core tenets for the Running Remote book is deliberate over communication, democratized workflows, and detailed metrics. So deliberate over communication, you want to be able to make sure that processes are not just easy to understand, but impossible to misunderstand. So what do I mean by that? It means you need to actually, if you're going to build a process, which is absolutely critical, we believe that the platform should be the manager inside of an organization, not necessarily the managers themselves. And so taking that information, making it as clear as humanly possible so that it's impossible to misunderstand is critical. And it's just it's a small little mindset change, but once you actually switch over to that, you're going to see a lot more success. Democratized workflows, everyone in the organization needs to be able to make sure that those processes are shared amongst the entire organization and that they're used effectively. The number one reason why someone fails at asynchronous management is not because building the processes are hard. A lot of them build it, it's just they're not used throughout the organization. And then they basically go back to their managers to be able to ask questions instead of actually having the repository of processes be the place where they ask those questions.